my colleagues, Tony Cardenas, Bernard Parks, we hope they arrive, and we have on the agenda 6 items, and we're going to proceed. Is anyone here on number 3?
Yes.
Number 3? Well, we're not going to proceed. We're just going to approve it.
Okay.
It's already implemented, isn't it?
Well, we're ready to implement this. We've reached agreement. We've reached agreement with our union, and we're ready to implement once.
There's no opposition.
No, sir. The union is here with us today.
Where's the union? Union, come forward.
Gladly.
You guys happy with this?
Yeah, it took a couple years to negotiate it, but it resolves a lot of problems that we were having on both parts, so it's a good thing for everybody.
Okay. Is this part of Brian DRC's group?
Yes,
How come he's not here?
because when we got the call to come down here, I was the only one in the office.
Tell him I missed him today.
I will do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
we can go with consent on the number 3. Who's the big guy, your bodyguard? Yeah. All right, that's good. You should join the police department. We're looking for new officers. We got openings right now. $1,000 reward for me if you sign up. Hey, Captain, you like that? Recruiting everywhere.
I was going to ask him to stay for me, too.
Okay, so number 3 is done on consent, and let's go with number 1 then. Wake up. I know, she's got the computer. Oh, number 3, you want to do that? Oh, wait till, we'll wait till Councilman Parks sits down, then we'll do number 3.
Okay. Item number 1 is the city
No, let's do number 3 since Councilman Parks is here, and then we'll just,
Item number 3 is the City Administrative Officer and Department of Water and Power reports relative to an amendment modifying Appendix F in the 205-210 Department of Water and Power Operating Maintenance and Service Unit Memorandum of Understanding for employees represented by Local 18 of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and that has been approved without discussion.
yeah, we have the Water and Power representative and Local 18 representative here. They reached agreement. This goes back to 2005. So recommended on consent to approve that. Have your concurrence?
You concurrence.
Number 3 is done. Now we can start with number 1.
For item number 1, what you have before you is the City Administrative Officer and Commission on the Status of Women reports. This is relative to a $276,600 grant award from the Los Angeles Juvenile Justice Coordinating Council for the fiscal year 2007-08, Young Women from Adversity to Resilience Violence Intervention Program. Ad hoc gangs, as well as Budget and Finance, have recommended approval of the CO recommendations.
Budget and Finance approve this?
On Monday.
On Monday. We still have the scars to show it.
All right, plead your case this time. See how far you get.
All right, here we go again. The Commission on the Status of Women has 4 requests for the YWAR program, and that is to accept the total of $276,600 in grant funds from the Juvenile Justice Coordinating Council, to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Los Angeles County Probation Department, to add resolution authorities for 5 positions that support the YWAR program, and to negotiate and execute a contract in the amount of $20,000 with the independent contractor for evaluation services. We recommend approval that the Commission's request to accept the $276,600 grant funds and execute the MOU subject to the approval of the city attorney as to the form. We do not recommend council approval for the resolution authorities for the 5 YWAR positions at this time because we already provided the employment authority through existing substitute authorities. These authorities will expire on June 30th, 2008. We recommend that the Commission report back to the Mayor and Council within 60 days before another contract is executed with an assessment in response to the results and conclusion of the July 2007 year-end program evaluation of Phase 2 and provide a cost-price analysis and determination on whether all of the performance criteria have been met for the 2 assessments, for the 2 phases. However, regarding the fiscal impact, the actual cost to the city to administer the YWAR program is $695,795, which includes the direct and indirect costs. The additional $419,195 is not paid for by the grant and is subsidized by the general fund. For a variety of reasons, including the limited grant allocations for the overhead costs, the city does not recover all of its indirect related costs for most grant programs, including the YWAR program. It should be noted the city's financial policies state that the city should strictly limit financial support of the grant-funded programs to avoid the commitments that continue beyond available funding. That condition is not met for this program. However, the mayor and council have made a policy decision to support this program since 1999. I'm available to answer any questions.
Well, I would say we've supported a lot of programs in the past that don't produce the results that we wish they would produce. A lot of the anti-gang programs, millions of dollars, we evaluate and we find they're not very successful. So 1999 was a different council, a different administration. This council's more sensitive to getting the results from the investment. A question I have on the $20,000 for the evaluation, why can't that be done by the controller's officer in-house? Why do we have to spend $20,000 for an outside individual to evaluate this?
One, I think Kelly Hawkins, Interim Executive Director for the Commission on the Status of Women. One of the reasons that we do have an outside consultant doing the evaluation is so that because the city does not have current evaluation guidelines in place for the gang reduction programs, and I know that's in process right now, but when this evaluation started, that was not taking place here in the city. And so what you'll find in that report that's due to you in about 60 days, it'll come a little sooner than that, is that we will we'll complete the evaluation, and that will be the outcome evaluation that will be completed June 30th, 2008.
And this started her contract September 07 to June 08.
Right.
And we mentioned the program 9 to 12, 12 high schools. And I'm trying to find the list of the schools.
Here you go.
It's in here someplace,
Yes, it is.
I can pass it to you.
but I have not been able, Mr. Perry, since you put that book together. Okay, here we go.
Highlighted too.
He even highlighted it. Okay, Boyle Heights, oh, this is even this is even better. This is even nicer. We'll have this one. Boyle Heights. All right, so Dorsey, Hollywood, Johnson, George Patton. He was a good military man, by the way. Van Nuys, Wooden, Young High School. Why don't we have this spread in areas of the San Fernando Valley that have a gang problem and have a problem where this would address the concerns of a community?
I do understand why that would be of concern to you. However, because I am in the interim role here, I was not a part of the initial budget request, and I think what we will see if the YWAR program does continue under the Commission on the Status of Women is that the focus will be on those gang reduction zone areas.
Because I don't see, I'm trying to figure this one out here. In Pacoima, the area of Arleta, North Hollywood. I know we've got gangs and problems throughout the city, but it seems there's a lack of representation in the valley.
Right.
So I know Kelly, you're interim there, maybe,
I think that is something that we can definitely discuss during the budget process.
to have a fair disbursement of those. And this, the total number of students,
415 currently,
415?
and those are 10 continuation schools and 2 traditional schools.
Okay. And do we find we're getting the result that we wish?
Yes, but I think had the measurement tools been in place sooner here at the commission, you would have been able to see those reports a lot sooner here in the committee.
And then they're denying your 5 positions that you're requesting.
Right.
So you have sufficient staff to do what you need to
Yes.
do?
Yes.
Did she get mad at you when you told her no?
It happened before she arrived.
Oh, okay. Sir,
No, I think we commented in Budget and Finance that we just need to really strongly look for other sources for next year, because I just don't think we'll be able to afford that amount of money.
Right, exactly.
So that's what we'd ask you to do.
So just get more grants, you know?
We got to go outside for the money.
If
So
it-
as I shared in Budget and Finance, I am actively going to meet with individuals that can fund projects such as the YWAR program. So that is something we are doing currently, is just looking for the outside funding. But we got to do it aggressively, and we need to act with a sense of urgency, so.
And what amazes me is this is with LA Unified School District at the school sites.
Right.
And we have so many other programs that we provide at school sites LAOSD is not paying for, like the crossing guards that we pay for, and all the other activities that the city picks up the tab for at LA Unified, the after-school programs. There's a variety of programs, and it's probably a tune, if I'm not mistaken, millions of dollars
No, it is.
that we get no reimbursement for. And it just seems on getting more and more, and the dollars are getting leaner and leaner. And the budget chair is well aware of that, so I wish you well in that, and hopefully it'll have some impact. Maybe when Jeff Carr comes up with his report, we'll be able to decide which ones are valuable to save and which ones aren't. But I know from past history, as all the groups, especially nonprofits, scream and holler and yell for the dollars, and they do the political lobbying to get that money to run their programs, and then we find the results are dismal. So I think we need to bite the bullet and say what's going to work and what's not.
Right.
And those that won't work will be cast away. Okay, so we have approval on this?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Number 2, please.
The city administrative officer has a report relative to concepts that could be implemented to reduce overall cost of providing health care to city employees. This item has also been referred to Budget and Finance Committee.
Anybody here?
Yep,
Oh, you?
yep.
Now we'll really be enlightened.
That'll be a short report.
Short report. Okay.
This report is provided in response to Councilmember Park's motion to request the Personnel Department to release an RFI seeking ideas and programs on ways to reduce the city's healthcare costs. The Personnel Department received 21 responses, and in accordance with the instruction, the CAO's office and the CLA's office has evaluated those. The issue is relatively clear. We're spending $324 million on healthcare. Healthcare has been increasing at double-digit rates for the past 7 years.
What if people don't get sick? Could we reduce costs that way?
Absolutely.
So what if we just have an executive order from the mayor and no one gets sick?
I'm there. I'll write it tomorrow.
Well, you know. I think we solved the problem. $324 million. There you go. You got some money. But I know that there's 2, you're talking about the health plans that we've got, correct?
Talking about all of the health plans that we currently administer, and then tangentially the ones for whom we contract, which would be the fire and police health plans as well.
Which is Kaiser, Blue Cross.
We currently contract with Kaiser on the civilian side for about 52% of the civilian employees, and then with Blue Cross for the remainder in 2 programs, one an HMO program and then in a PPO program.
And is there any other interests from other insurance health providers interested in competing?
For the civilian plan, the Joint Labor Management Committee, which is responsible for the plan design, is responsible for releasing an RFP for that program for the plan year starting January 2009. The ideas and information that was produced through this RFI have been incorporated in that RFP design. So the ideas of wellness programs and disease management programs, changing the plan design to produce efficiencies, looking at data mining, and have all been incorporated in the RFP design that has been released. Tomorrow. Will be released tomorrow.
We're hearing now from the audience. Thank you. Why don't you come up to the hot seat now, since you want to talk? We're going to make you talk. There you can.
So all those concepts that were identified in the RFI have been incorporated in the RFP. And when we get the RFP back, the evaluation will be done, and any of those ideas that hold value, either short-term in terms of immediate cost savings reductions, the ideas of changing office visit copays and those types of things, which produce immediate changes because that's cost shifting, where you shift the cost from the employer to the employee, those ideas. And then the more long-term cost reduction ideas, such as a wellness program where the objective being to increase the overall health of your workforce and thereby on the long term reduce your utilization of the health plan, because the driving cost of health plans is the price of the service, but also the utilization of the service.
It states that 10%, approximately 10% of city employees consume 70% of healthcare costs.
And that's relatively common across the entire industry. The reality is that large percentages of our employees do not go get any care whatsoever. That works in the short term. However, when not securing care results in them not identifying a serious health issue, that actually increases the cost of care over time, because the sooner you intervene, the more likely your chance of success, and therefore the more likely a chance of success, the more likely your costs will be reduced. When you intervene late, you end up with the most expensive, the most invasive treatment plans.
One thing that I've been, and Mr. Perry's been working on with me, looking into the private sector where they have these programs where there's an incentive under the, what's that called? The physical fitness programs, where you reduce people get involved in physical fitness programs, whether it be jogging or this or that, join the gym. The organization, the company pays a certain portion of that, and they've found drastic reduction in the healthcare costs, which has been then rebated. But as far as switching copay, increasing copay, deductible, we're just shifting dollars from the city expense to the employee expense. So if they get a salary increase and their copay goes up, they don't really receive much of a benefit. But if we could do something, and I don't know if we have any organization that the city is dealing with. We've been contacted, we've done some surveys to try and find out large physical fitness locations that would be interested in contracting with the city. Has there been anything, or is there currently any program in place on this healthcare issue in that arena?
Currently, they're all voluntary. So there are, through Kaiser and Blue Cross, health risk assessments where you can fill out a questionnaire and figure out what your risk is,
okay,
and then they'll give you tips on that. Both Blue Cross and Kaiser have discounts to 24-Hour Fitness and Bally's, I think, are the two companies.
That's not well publicized.
Right. We think we've done a much better job this year because we're getting a lot of web hits. We have a whole new web page with all the information on it, and we've been getting results back that we've been getting a lot of people logging on to that site.
Because maybe when it comes up to, like at the bottom of the check, which we all got paid today, which was a nice day, something on the controller puts on the bottom of the check, contact this website or something for information. If you can get a discount at the gym, obviously it saves you money and you can stay in good physical health. But I'm just thinking about the proactive approach, because the private sector seems to be doing that aggressively and cutting down the healthcare costs. And another company contacted us, Blue Shield, that was interested in bidding on the city's vendor contract for medical, which I thought we were always begging for people to submit bids. But
Oh,
Blue
not
Shield,
on medical. They're beating down the doors too.
they weren't doing that before.
Well, medical, there's really only 4 or 5 companies that are large enough to handle a group like the City of LA.
Okay.
And they have consistently bidded over the years.
They just haven't
They haven't,
measured up.
correct.
Because I know that those costs to the employees and the co-pays keep on becoming an issue. Whatever we can do to reduce that. So, I mean, it was a idea that I've been thinking about for a long, long time. And hopefully this labor management and with the police and fire can help bring about some change to that. Because the police department used to have a physical fitness program, which they've abandoned a long time ago. And you can look at the captain, he still maintains physical fitness, but but a lot of those physical fitness programs have gone by the wayside. And I just think it'll save us a lot of money and keep our employees healthy. So the recommendation on this is to what? Before I have Mr. Parks comment.
Recommendation is to note and file. It is the intention of the CAO's office to transmit a copy of this report to the two entities that administer fire and police benefits, because we have taken care of the recommendations on a go-forward basis as it relates to getting these options on the civilian side. But when the sworn plans go out for RFPs, this type of design should also be included in there.
So there will be a follow-up on it.
Yeah.
Mr. Parks?
Yeah, let me just ask a couple of questions. Is that, when do the current contracts expire?
They expired December 31st of 2008.
So we should have RFP returned by then. When are we asking for the RFPs?
March 17th.
So selection and all that, our goal is to get it done before the 31st?
Oh, it will be done by mid-July.
Okay.
The king guarantees it.
So July '08. Okay, and I want to say thank you to personnel for, we asked to do this before we went out to RFP, maybe had some better ideas or different ideas, and so I think we've gotten a handful. A couple I didn't quite understand is that on the disease management area, we talk about in the report that 10% of the people spend 70% of the cost, but we go in and talk about we're going to ask them to create what we call a robust program and to secure treatment protocol. How is that going to work, and what do we expect them to do to cause that to happen?
What we see in the data is our current plans have disease management programs, but what you see are people who are non-compliant with managing their disease states. So you have people that are hypertensive, they don't take their hypertension medication. You have people with high cholesterol levels, they don't take their cholesterol-lowering medications. We have
What
people-
about proper rest?
We have people who smoke, they don't stop smoking. Rest is not necessarily a disease state yet.
That's all I'm going to say.
For
I'm
some,
going to say it's siesta time.
for a couple of people, that might be an issue, but as an aggregate of our risk pool, that's not our problem at the moment. So what we are asking the health plans to do is, through the health risk appraisal, you identify a person with a disease state. Get that information into the health plan's hands so that they know about it, the employee knows about it, target information to them so that they understand this is your disease state and these are the things you need to be doing. And then measure our carriers on how well they get people to comply with managing their disease states. Because if they will manage the disease state, then our costs will go down long term. And if they don't, then our costs will continue to elevate. And it's not our healthy people that are driving our costs. It's our unhealthy people. It's the 10% 70 thing.
When we say target, I mean, are we saying that they are brought in for physically for counseling? We're talking about that we send them more literature?
We cannot bring them in on an individual. We, as the employer, can't access your personal health information because that's protected under HIPAA. So it's more a matter of targeting educational information specific to what the plan knows about their disease state, and then driving information to them to hopefully secure behavior
The
modification.
insurance company's paying the bill. So they
Well, we end up paying the bill eventually, but through the plan design, get them to do more information.
Are we talking about them sending out more literature? Is that their email? I mean, what are we asking them to do to make that?
There are many different ways that the plans can do that, and different plans have different ways of contacting people, and that's what we're asking for in the RFP, is to find out what they do.
What they do.
Sometimes there's just no way to get to a person, but what we want to see is an aggressive mailing campaign, calling, whatever they can do to get that person to the doctor and thing.
But if that person is submitting claims, then the insurance company knows the claim was for this particular, it's a heart situation, it's a this situation, that situation. I mean, they know what it is, so they could target the
Right.
mail to those individuals. And if they don't go to the doctor, well, nobody's going to know. But if they go to the doctor and the doctor submits a claim form, then they're going to know and do a follow-up in that particular arena.
And the easiest way to find out is through the prescription drugs.
Right.
and that's how you find out. And someone may be taking their hypertension medication, but not following the doctor's plan. And so that's how we can get to, the insurance company can get to them. We can't know
Right, right.
who they
Or
are.
if they're like my father, they could be buying the medication.
I'm not taking it.
Okay. Let me ask you on the plan design. One of the things in reading this, it seems like we're kind of in a catch-22. We're saying that there's no real negatives in the fact or financial impact if a person maybe overuses the system. But on the other hand, because they're only, what is it, about 2% of people are paying. But on the other hand, if we cause people to use the system less because the co-pays go up, aren't we defeating the whole issue of the preventive medicine?
That's
And
That's one way
That's one of the
looking at it.
things that we talked about in the committee as it relates to, can we incent people through possibly reducing the copay for preventive care and increase the copay for addressing an issue, and that way drive behavior into prevention as opposed to just the office visit stuff. The problem with a $10 office visit copay at today's salaries is it's insignificant. So if you're the type of person who goes to the doctor, and I'm not one of those people, but if you are, then it's insignificant. You go because it's available. It's almost free, and anything that's free is going to be used. And so the copays have to be designed to drive the behaviors that we want to achieve, which is lower the copays, hopefully, if we can do it economically, for securing preventive behavior, preventive care, the mandatory, the age-appropriate things that all of us are supposed to be doing, which, if I survey this room, I guarantee you we're not.
Like what?
Well, men over 50. There's X number of exams for prostates that you're supposed to be doing. If I survey the room, there's probably no 50-year-olds in the room, so, except for me.
Well, you're over 50.
Hey. What does that mean?
Yeah. The reality
I'm
is,
not testifying.
yeah. The reality is most people are not securing the appropriate age-appropriate preventive tests.
Yeah, we
There's
need
a lot
to
more
somehow
tests
move
on
that.
the other side.
We need to move that to make sure they do that.
And the other thing is our ER visits. $35 or $50 copay for an ER visit is very low when there's a $10 or $20 copay for an office visit. And some employees, we're finding our ER visits going up. And a $50 copay, believe it or not, is just not that much for an ER visit when it costs so much for an ER visit.
Oh, don't they have those other places in between?
The urgent care centers.
Care centers.
Mm-hmm.
Does it cover for those?
An urgent care center would be a $10 copay.
Okay.
ER visit would be a $50. So we need to, or $35 with Kaiser, and $35 for a copay for an ER visit is nothing. So we need to move those up also to incent people to an urgent care center or to their doctor's office.
But now, is urgent care is viewed as a step after preventive, something has happened that's driving.
Right, an urgent care visit would not be considered an ER visit because
I mean, but it wouldn't be considered preventive either.
preventive.
wouldn't be preventive either. No, that's true.
All right. And then let me ask you on the risk pooling, did we look at any other organization other than the county? Because I'm just wondering, because the county's benefit packages are more expensive than the cities. But have we looked at the unified school district? Have we looked at private industry to see whether there are other places that you might get into the pooling effort?
We looked at the county. The county was no. We were in some preliminary discussions with MTA. Theirs didn't look too good either by virtue of the fact that they really wanted to join us, which is kind of an indication that we would be securing the negative return on getting their risk pool. We have not had discussions with the school district, although I think we could set those up in the future.
I mean, would it be in our interest?
There's real value in joining. My ideal situation, let's join the Starbucks risk pool. Why? Because they're all 20-year-old kids. They're not consuming any health care. We could shift massive amounts of cost to Starbucks if we could get in their risk pool.
Because I was just wondering, that's what I was thinking, is private industry, whether that is a better pool than government.
We're kind of in between, to be honest with you, as far as the risk pools are concerned. Most governmental agencies have stronger plans than we do, so if we join them.
When you say stronger,
Oh, I mean,
more
they're
expensive?
More expensive,
Cover more things.
cover more
more
things,
things,
right. So if we join them, our costs are going to go up. The private industry plans, ours are significantly better than theirs. So they might not want to join us because they'd have to increase their program so much. So we're kind of in the middle. MTA was the closest probably as far as benefits to ours, and their benefits were still much stronger than ours.
And we're now at $324 million, up from $191 million. The more we put into this, the less there is available for salary and other benefits.
Yep.
There's only so much in the pot to pay.
That's all my questions. I appreciate the work, because I think, I don't know if we'd have had all these ideas by just putting out the RFP by itself, but I'd be very interested to see how they come back and respond to them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the responses, because it's the first time where we have attempted to get a more integrated look from start, from wellness to disease management at the back end.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the thing is 300 and some odd million. If you cut any kind of the percentage off of that, you're.
And that's the objective. I think we have to admit that healthcare costs are going to continue to escalate at some level. The question is, do we have to have the 10% trend, or can we deflect it to 5? If we deflect it just to 5, it's significant for us.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Marianne. Number 3, we approve. So number 4, please.
For item number 4, the city administrative officer is requesting an additional position authority for 1 administrative analyst 2 within the CAO's office. This is to work on Bureau sanitation-related issues. This item has been heard by the Energy and Environment Committee, and they have recommended approval of the CO recommendations.
Gentlemen, proceed.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm David Hirano from the Office of CAO. The request before you would be for 1 administrative analyst 2 to work in our budget division on sanitation-related items. The request would cost approximately $50,000 for the remainder of the year and $103,000 for a full year's worth of costs starting in 2008-09. The position is supported by the Bureau of Sanitation, and that they agree with the need for the position, and they have proposed to also fund it from the Sewer Construction and Maintenance Fund and Multifamily Recycling Trust Fund.
And you're from the Bureau?
Yes, Neil Guglielmo with the Bureau of Sanitation. As was stated by the CAO, we do fully support this position. It would be, all costs would be covered by our special funds, both the direct and indirect costs. We see the need because of the number of various requests we have that are going through the CAO's office, whether it be personnel-related requests for substitute position authorities, in lieu authorities, for processing of contracts, looking at 1022 issues, just the number of programs we have, whether it be the wastewater program, the solid resources programs, and the stormwater programs. There is so much going on right now that the volume has been increasing steadily over the years. I was also, having worked in the CAO's office myself in years past and seeing the volume of work and their turnover in the analysts, in the 6 or so years that I moved from the CAO to the Bureau of Sanitation, we've seen 4 different analysts turn over in that assignment. It creates problems for the Bureau because we have to continuously re-educate these new analysts on all the work that we're doing. And obviously, the more time they have with the assignment, the better they'll understand the challenges. They better can direct the Bureau on financial issues, policy issues, and such. And so having that assist-type position to work with a senior administrative analyst provides a lot of continuity and a lot of additional support that we see. So that's why we do support this position request.
How many do you have now?
We have 1 staff member working on sanitation items. Currently, in our office, we have approximately 45 assignments generated by the Bureau of Sanitation that are being reviewed.
You have 1 person dealing with all of it?
Yeah, a heavy workload, a very heavy workload for one of our analysts would be to have 20 assignments on their desk at one time.
probably have
And so-
hypertension then.
The sleep disease issue, I
You
think.
know, there is a level of stress in our office, especially related to that assignment, that is unbearable at this
We should
point.
talk to that person, Tom, and get him into managed healthcare program.
I'm sure that'd be
Take
greatly
them off for a-
appreciated.
Take him out for a walk. Okay, I can see the necessity. It's not general fund money, it's going to come
It's
out of
not.
other project funds. Mr. Parks?
No question.
Okay, you got approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Number 5, please.
For item number 5, what you have before you is a Personnel Department report. This is relative to its ongoing efforts along with the Police Department for the quarter ending September 30, 2007, to improve the recruitment and selection of police officer candidates. The Public Safety Committee has recommended to note and file the report.
Hello.
Good afternoon, John Dunlop with the Personnel Department.
And Joe Mariani, Recruitment and Employment Division, LAPD.
The John and Joe Show.
J squared.
It looks like the numbers are reaching the goals. 207 graduated June through September, 351 currently in training. Are we on target for what we're looking for?
Absolutely. We're, for that period in particular, we've met and exceeded the goals, so we're doing very well. During this last quarter in December, we experienced a bit of a drop in the testing, but that's, I think, attributable to the holidays. We lost some test dates there, and also college was out of session, so we couldn't test there. But overall, I think our numbers are good.
Cap, what do you think?
Yeah, well, we've exceeded. We had a goal of testing about 585 per month, and for most of the part for 2007, we were around 650 to 700 in any given month. So we have a great buffer of folks, and currently we have about 4,800 candidates that are considered viable in the process. And in order to hire 780 for the goal, we needed 7,020. So we're staying right consistent with that. We've exceeded that percentage goal.
Right.
Okay. Backgrounds. I know we had a problem with backgrounds. I understand that matter's been taken care of. Right, Phyllis? The appointments. Looks like all the numbers are very positive. Mr. Parks?
I mean, we were, I guess, in Budget and Finance or Public Safety recently, we're trying to get a sense of what the attrition rate has been for this fiscal year, and where are we in the sense of hiring? Are we strictly filling attrition, or are we into hiring some of the net increase, or just?
I believe the net gain up to this point is 115, and it is projected by the end of the fiscal year, we were hoping for somewhere around 284, or excuse me, around 250. We've done some really good things in terms of the attrition in the academy. We were at one point up to about 20%. We're down to about 15% right now. And the hiring plan was based upon an 18% attrition rate in the academy, an average of 12 separations for drop per month. And then we average, if you look at historically over the last few years, around 200 people that retire. So we're pretty consistent with that. And looking at a report, and I had the a breakdown, I believe we're pretty much on target in terms of, like I said, with 115 at the halfway mark, we're pretty much there with achieving the net gain by the end of the fiscal year. Now, what we've done also is that for the last part, and consistent with the hiring plan, we're hiring 70 recruits per month, which is a huge task. Now, this last month, or beginning a couple of weeks ago, we had our first class of 70. We're well underway to reaching the goal again for this month. So, those are good things. So the other thing is, though, as we look to this point of the year too, and especially before the beginning of the fiscal year, we know that there's always the potential for more drop candidates to also retire, because they'll do that before the beginning of the fiscal year.
Okay. So we're saying about 100 plus net increase
so far.
Okay. And so
I want to say 115 was the last number I recall seeing.
And I think they were projecting like about 550 attrition for the year. Is that coming true?
Yes,
All right, so we will hit that 500.
right,
Okay.
provided all things stay in place.
And then the classes were backloaded, larger classes towards the end of the fiscal year.
That's correct.
And how many classes of 70 were planned for?
We had 6 classes of 50, 1 class of 60, and then 6 classes of 70.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Now, those are the numbers, good. We've got the funds for the continuation.
I believe so. And the appointment bonus was just approved today.
That today. There'll be a lot of people jumping on that one.
I sure hope so.
Okay, nothing else?
No.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Note and file that report. And number 6. Number 6.
The Personnel Department is reporting relative to employee development and training programs for the fiscal year 2006 to 2007.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Linda Lanier, Personnel Department.
Linda, one of the mandated programs was sexual harassment training. Are we in compliance with the state law? I noticed the numbers are down for a variety of reasons, but there is a state law regarding that. Are we in compliance with that?
We are in compliance, and this particular report just takes us through June 2007. We just recently, last month in June, concluded training at 8,700. So we were beginning the second phase of the training for sexual harassment under the new law in December. So as of the last numbers, we about 8,700 people had completed, with the anticipated goal of 10,000 people going through. And it's likely that the next time I check this week or whatever, we should be really close to the 10,000.
And
So we are.
Is there a liability to the city if we're not in compliance? Or liability to the employee if they're not in compliance? If they
Not
just
that-
decide, I'm not going to do it, I don't care.
The liability really falls with the city of Los Angeles, so we have a mandate in terms of making sure that all supervisors receive this training every 2 years. So we're hoping through the program, the program that we have in place, whereby we are working with the departments to track and make sure that all supervisors are going through this program. Saying that we're just finishing up the second phase of the training, departments will be submitting verification to the personnel department. It's due on February the 1st, specifically indicating we have X number of supervisors that required to be trained, and we had X number of supervisors that actually completed the training by January the 1st, 2008. And if there's any really, well, with an explanation in terms of if those numbers do not match, we will, of course, run into where supervisors are off on long-term illness, that type of thing, and other things may be happening with the supervisors which cause them not to go through the training program, but it's likely because they're not at work. With the instructions from the personnel department, as soon as employees return to work, they are to immediately go online and complete the program.
And the other programs, in-house programs, are any of the other programs required by law, or is it just sexual harassment that's required by law?
Just the sexual harassment.
Okay, so everything else is for information, for benefit of the employee?
As well as information for employees in terms of making sure that the city is in compliance with federal EEO requirements. So we want to make sure that supervisors as well as employees are aware of the different requirements under EEO. But there's no specific mandate from like the federal and state saying that we have to train in the area of EEO. But we do provide that training.
Not at this time, there may be down the road if we don't get
Could be.
compliance.
It could be.
And are all these programs available online?
No, the only
Any
program.
of them available online?
The only program that the sexual harassment program is the only program that's online.
How do we adapt some of these other, because I'm looking at some of the other titles. For example, first aid CPR, which is a vital program which certain professions have to comply in a certain time period. And I know that the police department in particular is oftentimes out of compliance. How do we convert some of these to an online system for city employees to assist them in their endeavors PowerPoint, the Word, Excel, business writing, some of these others that they could use and help them in their career with the city, how do we convert those to online to make it more accessible to them?
Yeah, those, we could actually, through the budget process, we could actually, if we were to have money, so we can go out and contract and actually have those programs online. There are many vendors that do offer those subjects online. It's just a matter of we have to contract with them to do that. The computer training that we offered, that you see listed in the report, came as a result of Local 3090, their MOU. A part of that labor agreement was that the personnel department would coordinate with them in terms of a training program for their people. They actually had money connected with their labor contract that gave us the opportunity to go out and actually contract and pay to have someone to actually conduct the training. So that's how we were able to provide that training. Most subjects are available out there. It's just a matter of can we go out and contract to have it done. Now, it's in order for us to be able to actually put the programs together and go online ourselves, we would need the technology in order to be able to do that, as well as the staff that would be able to go out and create the programs to put online.
What if we teamed up with one of the community colleges or one of the local high schools to help? Because online is the way that the world's going.
Right.
And I think to offer our workforce of 40,000 plus employees opportunities if they want to avail themselves of that. Civil service rules for supervisors, customer service essentials, discipline the supervisor. There's a lot of programs here that I think would be available. We could even expand on that since the whole world's online, and here we have one program, sexual harassment online. Why can't we expand that out either through the community colleges, through the high schools, team up with some other entity with the city of Los, instead of doing it separate, or if any other cities have a program that we could tap into to help educate our city workforce. I think we're really behind the curve since we haven't done that. And noticing the variety of programs that we do offer.
Yes.
Workplace violence prevention, I know Z-Woman is concerned about that and the problems that occur from that. I'd like to get a report back on what we can do to enhance this online capability for a variety of these programs to help our employees improve their knowledge and their ability for promotion, at least within the departments they're working. There's a lot more that we can add to that. Because some universities, you can get your degree online, not even attend the university, but through the classes. So I think these are critical,
Okay,
especially with the lawsuits that we have. We have to deal with millions of dollars. I think that we could invest something in this, which would benefit a lot of people.
We do have, in fact, we have been contacted by the community colleges regarding possibly some type of partnership. I just don't know what direction they were talking about in terms of that, so we'll be meeting with them on that. Understanding that the value of having online training programs, in order to make our information from our training programs more available to city employees, we do have on the personnel department's intranet site, we do put summaries of our various training programs. They're there. It's not a true online program where it's interactive. It's more so a PowerPoint presentation with all the information there. And we do advertise it out to city employees that information is there. It's just that it's not a true online program where there's a lot of activity in terms of questions and answers and involved in the program. So we were trying to do a little bit through the internet. So
I think that every department has promotions, and you have to study for those promotions, whether it be the fire department, library, rec, every department has that. And those employees that want to move up the ladder, we should provide an opportunity for them to do that through the computer, since most of them have the computer at home, and obviously they have it at work, and to answer a question. I mean, it's nice to Google this, you Google the world, but there's a lot that we can do with this to help our employees, at the same time help educate them and maybe enlighten them and reduce some of the problems that we have in litigation. because as they say, knowledge is power. So if I can get a report back on that. Also, on the sexual harassment, it's a mandate by the state. Is there any reimbursement from the state for the hours that we expend doing the testing?
No.
Okay. And what I also like, since it's mandated by the state, it is a law that we have to comply with that. A report back on the names of the employees that have not complied and their current status, whether they're sick or on vacation or whatever. And I want to submit that to the mayor's office for the overview, since we have a lot of litigation tied up with sexual harassment. And if those people are mandated by law to do it and they're not doing it, we want to know about that
Okay.
to make sure that it's on the record.
But their name's not to be heard in open section. You can
Well, it
list
won't be
by-
me or you, Z, but we don't know
You
about
can list it by
Cliff
department,
Ruff.
the number of employees by
But,
department.
but what we need to do is that department is then gonna have to answer to the mayor's office why they're not in compliance.
But we don't want their names listed in a public report. That
No,
would
not in a
be
public
for
report,
this
but,
committee.
but somehow the identity will be presented, somehow to that general manager and the mayor. Somehow, those people have to be put on notice that they have to take it. I know some people are resistant to take it. I just want to make sure that it's a state law, if we ever get audited by the state, that we're in compliance. Because not every employee has to do it, but certain managers, council members, et cetera, and I want to make sure we're in full compliance. So if we can get, like, for example, this department, that department, 100% compliance. Those departments that aren't, how many?
Okay.
And we'll send that to the mayor's office, and then the mayor's office can have that general manager come in and find out who isn't and why aren't they, et cetera, and get it done. I mean, if they're sick for long-term, I understand that, but if they're on vacation, they missed it and didn't take it, because those things slip through the loophole. But when it's a state law, we get lawsuits, it's an obligation that we comply with that. So I want to make sure we don't violate their name, but at the same time, get the message to the mayor's office so that he can send a directive to general manager to the mayor. I think we can get compliance real quick.
Well, and it's a disciplinary issue. If they fail to comply, they
Well, they may have
basically
an
are.
excuse, they may have a valid excuse, I'm just saying those that, for whatever.
But if they refuse to do it, that's a disciplinary
Exactly.
matter. But I can work with you on that if you need me to make sure we don't violate any.
Yeah, we don't want to violate any rules, but we definitely want to know what departments aren't in compliance. You took yours, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
All right, I did too, so we're safe. We'll go on record if we're safe. Anything else? No.
And the report backs, do you have a date?
Pardon me?
And the report backs, do you have a date in mind, or just whenever?
Whenever you think, a month, 2 days, 6 weeks, what do you think? We're reasonable, but I know you got a lot of work to do.
Well, as far as the compliance with sexual harassment, we did give the departments until February the 1st to report back to the personnel department, because we were taking into consideration that this whole
Right.
second phase started during the vacation period to give employees a chance to get back and then finish the program. So it would have to be after February the 1st for that
March?
particular.
Well, March? When do we meet in March?
First and third Wednesday.
First and third Wednesday? How about the first Wednesday in March? Would that work for you?
Okay.
Were there any other report back? The only report back we had. That's the only report back we need?
There was the report on the online
Oh,
program.
the online,
So-
well, if we can get them both at the same time, the online aspect and how we can reach out through the community colleges, through the high schools, adult, you know, they have adult school, high school, have the adult education also. So maybe some coordinated effort with the LA Unified or the community colleges. If we can get that report at the same time, that gives you a little over a month to figure out how we can make that work. And if it's gonna be a cost, how much we can pony up to make that happen. And maybe it could be some coordination with the unions, since it's gonna benefit their employees. So, I think it'd benefit a lot of people. Mr. Parks,
That's it.
nothing else?
Do you wish to notify of that report?
Yes, I do.
Okay, there are public comments, I believe. One card.
Oh, there's one. Mr. Brian Henderson. I'm sorry, Mr. Henderson. Shoot. Sorry, Brian. Huh? I know you weren't looking. I thought it would stop. I didn't know the table was that slick. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You're here for PC.
Yes, I'm here for PC.
What's PC?
Regarding a personnel matter
Okay.
for myself.
Okay.
through a period of application and interview, I was offered a position and accepted that position with the Los Angeles Convention Center, the Assistant General Manager position. I was to start on December 11th of last year. I have a copy of the offer and the acceptance of that offer,
Can you pass that forward, please?
as well as a timeline.
Okay. You want to see a copy? Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's our city attorney. Affectionately known
I have
as
one
the
for
Zero.
everyone. Absolutely. Nice to meet you.
Okay, this
I just-
started August 07.
That was the deadline for application for the position. I was employed with another company at the time, but looking for new opportunities and excited about that particular opportunity. So I applied, went through 3 interviews, was offered the position, and accepted the position. Over the course of the next couple of days, it became clear that according to the Los Angeles Convention Center general manager, they could not offer the position based on rules from the personnel department.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Based on rules in the selection process, because the initial posting had a requirement for a college degree. I don't have a college degree. But I called in August and asked about the requirements, whether or not they were, hard in stone, or whether there was flexibility. I was told that there was flexibility in some of them, because some of them I was significantly overqualified. But this particular one, I was obviously underqualified. So the convention center has said that I'm not qualified for hiring of that position, and since then, through lots of research, I've found that actually there is leeway in executive level positions according to members of the personnel department. And so I believe that, I guess what I'm asking from this group is 2 things. One is, for someone to hear my story. And secondly,
You got an acceptance letter from the general manager
it's actually a confirmation, yes, that I have accepted the offer.
that you accepted the offer, and then there's an email.
And then the second email is an email to members of the convention center staff, some of whom would then become my employees, announcing my assignment and my start date. And this, just as a side note, this, because it's a pretty small community that I work in event planning, convention center world is rather small, this email was then forwarded on to their colleagues. So I got calls from members of my community saying, congratulations on your appointment, and was to start the next, December 11th, so I resigned my position at my current job upon receipt of this offer and confirmation of offer, only to find that the offer was then attempted to be withdrawn, and
What's your status now?
in waiting for response from the assistant or the general manager of the convention center has told me he cannot offer me the position based on requirements in the city personnel department.
Did they send you a letter to that effect? So, your application, do you have a copy of that?
I don't have a copy of my application, but I did submit a background. It says here on November 14th, an authorization for release of personal information that very, very clearly indicates that I have no degree and made no claims as to such. I think I remember actually putting in block letters.
The bulletin you responded to require?
It says, in the requirements, it does say that a degree is required.
But they offered you a position with your statement on that application, you didn't have a degree. They accepted you for that position.
Correct.
In spite of that.
Correct. Which I didn't see as completely out of the ordinary, because of very, very many times in conversations with I have employees and many people that I've hired, if I ask for a degree and I find someone who's completely overqualified in 10 different areas but doesn't have that degree, I did attend university. I tend to look at experience as being very valuable if it's in the areas I'm looking for. And that was my understanding of how this process was moving forward with the convention center. I was certainly not in any way under the thought that I was underqualified for the position.
And you've worked in that arena?
For many years. In fact, at one point, there was a request from the convention center, about management experience, which I believe is their most important part of this. And I sent through an organizational chart that showed that I had managed a staff of 60 people in my last organization with a budget responsibility of 30 million, which was well more than I would have been asked to manage in this position, in the specific area of convention center and convention management. I worked for a trade show company, the kind of trade shows that the convention center is trying to attract to the city, citywide, with sleeping rooms and revenue associated with them.
Okay. Z.
Well, the only thing the committee can do is listen to it as you have. It's within your jurisdiction to hear these matters, but you can't take any action on it at this time. I have some knowledge of this issue, even though that I was not in the office, and I believe it's being reviewed internally with Convention Center and the Personnel Department. And so we can report back to you regarding the status of the review of this issue.
Okay, I'd like that done. So you employed now, or are you unemployed?
Unemployed.
Okay.
Obviously, seeking employment, but, hoping that this works out for me. But I unemployed as of December 11th because my start date from this document, December 12th.
No, I understand.
And I didn't learn until December 11th that I wasn't to report to work the next day.
I understand your situation completely. What I would like to have you do, if you can put your phone number on here, or contact number, that we can get from you also.
I have lots of those.
And then
I'll
we
just
will
write.
hear back. Can we get a report back by next meeting?
Yeah, not in committee, but directly to your office.
Okay.
We'll give you the status.
Okay. And we will follow up. My chief of staff, Cliff Rupp, is here. We will follow up with you to a resolution on this particular situation.
I appreciate the time.
Appreciate your patience and understanding. You interested in becoming a police officer?
And I was actually listening to that. It's like, maybe I should go that route.
They got a signing bonus and everything now.
My phone number's on there.
There's no signing bonus for conventions.
No, I don't think there was mentioned in that.
There's no, only signing bonus, right, Tom?
That's correct.
So see, if you hire, if we recruit someone, we get $1,000 finder's fee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This could work out well for everybody then.
It could be. All right, thank you for coming, and thank you. We're now adjourned.